Hey everyone, how are you guys doing? I have a bad impression about 55 plus communities, and that bad impression was reinforced when this past summer, David and I had the opportunity to ride our bikes around the local 55 plus community. And that's what I'm going to chat about today. So I want to talk to you guys about this because if you are considering moving to a 55 plus community, I've got 5 facts that will inform you, maybe would want to know before you make a commitment and move into one of these places. I have been wanting to go around this neighborhood because I thought if I went into the neighborhood, I could get a feeling, I could get a vibe for the place. And maybe I have been misjudging what these 55 plus communities are like. I know a lot of people seem to like them. Let me know in the comments if you like them, if you live in one and everything's going smoothly, and tell me why you like it. But I wanted to go and take a ride around this community so I could get the feeling for it because that's how I operate. If I get a good feeling about a place, then I move forward. If it's something that I don't get a good vibe about, I generally take a step back and, look deeper into it. But I do like to go with my gut feeling. So we rode around this place and I did not get a good feeling at all. The place was so sterile. It was so sterile. It seemed like everything had been vacuum packed and sealed into this sterile, homogeneous community. It seemed like it had been vacuum sealed from any trace of life. There was so much sameness. It was like any life had been sucked out of it. I felt like it had been scrubbed of any personality. I looked around and I saw that all of the mailboxes were the same. I saw that everybody's lawn was manicured in a certain way. I didn't see any vegetable gardens, and this was the middle of summer. No vegetable gardens. Sure, I did see potted plants. I saw flowers. Some of the patios were really pretty as far as the flowers go, because I do like flowers, but there were no vegetable gardens. So I'm wondering, okay, why is that? Why is that? Are vegetable gardens allowed in these places? I think maybe I did see one topsy-turvy, which is, those hanging tomato baskets. Anyway, the place seemed soulless. It was like it had been scrubbed of any personality. I know it's different strokes for different folks, but to me, moving into one of these 55 plus communities would be like the first step to a nursing home. And that is not how I want to age. I do not want to age in a community that makes me feel like I'm just heading to a nursing home. I don't want to live in a cold, empty, soulless community. And I certainly don't want to live in a place full of oldsters with a bunch of rules. This quote from The Twilight Zone comes to mind. Sunnyvale Rest, a dying place for ancient people who have forgotten the fragile magic of youth. A dying place for those who have forgotten that childhood, maturity, and old age are curiously intertwined and not separate. A dying place for those who have grown too stiff in their thinking. So I don't know if you guys remember the Twilight Zone episode called Kick the Can. It's about a rest home where all of these old people are just dying and there's no life to them any longer. The place is just very lifeless. And that's the impression I got of this 55 plus community. And this was the whole neighborhood. So if you haven't seen the Twilight Zone episode, Kick the Can, Google it and see if it's available. I highly recommend it. I really think it's a good episode to remind everybody that being energetic and playful can restore youth. So check it out. So here are 5 things to consider if you are thinking about moving into a 55 plus community. Number one, we have HOA fees and red tape. HOA fees can cost anywhere from $250 to $800 a month. That's how the lawn gets maintained. That's how the pool gets cleaned. That's how the clubhouse is taken care of. All of those little recreational opportunities that these 55 plus communities provide are covered under HOA, Homeowners Association fees. Personally, I would prefer to take that $250 a month or $800 a month and put it towards a road trip. Maybe a road trip to Alaska to see the Northern Lights, or a road trip to see my children, or a road trip to see the national parks, or if you're not into road trips, whatever it is for you. Fees can increase over time. And then when it comes to the red tape and the rules, HOAs are famous for telling you what you can do. They are famous for telling you when you can put your garbage out, when you need to take your garbage in. Nuh-uh, that's not for me. I do not want people telling me what I can do with my own property. Maybe I don't want a giant inflatable snowman on my lawn for Christmas, but I certainly don't want the homeowners association coming and telling me that I can't do that. So I've had some experience with HOAs. Back when we lived in the suburbs, we did not belong to the homeowners association, but I got a knock on the door one day, and it was one of the people asking me what my neighbor was doing with the trailer next door that they had parked in the street next door. And I said, I don't know what they're doing with that trailer. That's none of my business. Okay, I said, maybe you should go ask them what they're doing with that trailer. So this is what HOAs are like. They're full of busybodies. And I don't want any kind of HOA Nazi knocking on my door, telling me I can't have 50 pink flamingos on my lawn. And I don't want 50 pink flamingos on my lawn, but I don't want anybody knocking on my door telling me that I can't do that. And that's what these HOAs are famous for. Number two, lack of diversity. Okay, I know people want to move into these 55 plus communities because they like the idea that you need to be 55 and above to live there. I personally like the sound of kids. I personally think that's part of the joy of living, is to have all of these sounds and to hear the laughter of kids. And I like a little bit of noise. I don't want everything to be so quiet as to sound lifeless. Yeah, do I like peace and quiet sometimes? Sure, I'm like everybody else. But these 55 plus communities really do not like kids and people under 55. And I'll tell you why. That's why they make this rule, okay, is that you have to be 55. They have limitations on how long anybody that is under 55 can stay there. So, for example, you have kids and grandkids that are under 55. Well, usually there are limitations on how long they can stay there, and after that time, they're not welcome. So don't expect your grandkid to be welcome to stay there for the entire summer, because that's going to break the rules, and you're going to be told about it, probably from that HOA person that's going to come and let you know that you're breaking the rules. Number three, fitting in. If you're the independent type, you have your own ideas. You have your own political beliefs, your own religious beliefs. You may not fit into these 55 plus communities, because the people that move into these 55 plus communities are looking for compatibility and sameness. They're not looking for people, they're not open-minded and looking for people that have different ideas. They're not looking for discourse. They're looking for people that are going to have the same old conversations that they want to have. So if you have different religious beliefs, if you have a different sexual orientation, you're probably not going to be welcome into these places, because if your beliefs don't fit what this community says is okay, you're not going to fit in. So here's the kicker. Even if you did have the $500,000 to $600,000 to buy a home in one of these communities, that's what it cost in my area. Of course, that varies from location to location, but that's what one of these houses cost in my community. So even if you did have that amount of money, you're probably not going to be accepted into the community. You're not going to be allowed to buy there if you have a religion that's unacceptable. Number 4, bullying and snobbishness. Well, this goes without saying. If they are not going to accept you because of a certain religion, if they're not going to accept you because you are an independent thinker, you can pretty much presume that you're not going to be accepted in one of these communities. And there's a lot of drinking that goes on. Just think of the villages. And if you're not into that culture, if you're not into the drinking culture, you're not into what everybody in these communities want to do, if you're not willing to sit around and be just like they are, it's really going to be difficult to fit in. It's hard enough to make friends as you get older. So why would you want to subject yourself to moving into a community that's going to be even harder to make friends? Unless, of course, you are somebody that makes friends easily and you are pretty mainstream and you don't have different views, then one of these places might suit you just fine. Again, let me know in the comments if that's you. Let me know if you're having a great experience in a 55 plus community. I really want to hear about it. Number 5, no pets. Yep, that's absolutely correct. Many of these 55 plus communities don't allow pets. So your beloved companion may not be welcome in one of these 55 plus communities. Now, many of them do allow pets, a cat or a dog. They do have to be a certain weight, maybe a certain size. They do have to have certain registration. So there are rules, even if you do have a cat or a dog. There are certain rules as to, whether or not your beloved pet is going to be allowed into one of these 55 plus communities. But I will add this. They don't allow any type of exotic pet. Now, I understand, nobody wants an ocelot coming into the 55 plus community. I get that. Nobody wants a boa constrictor. Those are exotic pets. But did you know that birds and iguanas are considered exotic pets? And a lot of people have birds. They have a canary. I used to keep finches. I don't anymore because I don't like the idea of keeping birds in a cage. And then I also know a woman that has an iguana. I'm not a big fan of lizards and iguanas and those types of pets, but they are considered exotic and would not be allowed in a 55 plus community. Yes, the 55 plus community where I live has beautiful scenery. I can't deny that. But again, I didn't get a good vibe riding my bicycle around this place. I do appreciate living in the community at large with people of all ages. You can check out my article at rebelretirement.com, why I wouldn't want to live in a 55 plus community. So you can go over these points again and maybe get a little bit more information that I wrote in the article. And I recommend you check out Pam's video at Solo Second Half. She gives an honest and humorous view of living in a 55 plus community. It's titled, I Moved to a Retirement Community and Now I Regret It. I'll put a link in the description. I look forward to your comments, and until next time, stay curious, stay healthy, and trust your retirement journey. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you next time.